Welcome to Audible Stories. Sprain in Brain. Once upon a time, three poor villagers were gathering together their wares to sell in the market. One man was a lamp maker, the second man wove rugs, and the third man was a farmer who grew wheat. They were neighbors and friends, and so they decided to travel together to the next village to sell their wares. The market there was large and filled with people, and they reasoned they would earn lots of money, although the journey was long. The farmer insisted on not going to the big market. Instead, they can all sell their wares in their own small village market. But the rug maker strongly urged that we all must go to the bigger market to make more profit. So the next morning they packed their goods, and set off for the next village large market. To reach the next village, they had to first climb the tall mountains surrounding their village. Up and up they trudged, carrying their heavy loads. The path was steep and difficult, the air was raw and cold, and when at last they reached the top of the mountains, they were exhausted. "Let's rest a while," said the farmer, and the others thankfully agreed. They laid their bags upon the ground and sat down to rest, though they had still many more miles to travel. "What have we brought to eat?" the lamp maker asked. "I'm starving." At that the rug man looked up. "Oh my God," he said, alarmed. "I forgot to pack food." The lamp man frowned. "So did I." But the farmer smiled. "Never fear when I am near," he said. "My wife packed a sack we can share." With great pleasure, he reached into his bags and pulled out the sack. As he opened it, the others' mouths began to water, but to their dismay, the farmer pulled out of the sack only a small roasted chicken and chickpeas. The farmer reached inside to see what else his wife had packed, but to his disappointment there was nothing. "It isn't much," he said sadly. "I could swallow that whole chicken alone," said the lamp man. "Me, too," the rug man agreed. All three men stared with longing at that little chicken. It smelled so good that they could almost taste the juicy meat in their mouths. Their eyes grew wider for how good that chicken would taste. Their stomachs growled, and they wondered desperately with a sprain in brain on how to share the piece of chicken. And after a while, the rug man said, "What would the wise men advise us?" They thought about the wise men who lived in their village. They could almost see the old men with long, gray beards and quiet eyes, sitting silently in dark study. The farmer yawned and said, "The wise men always think for a long time before reaching to any decision." "That's what they do," said the rug man, and he leaned against his sack of rugs, trying to imagine how to think like a wise man. "They're silent when they think," said the farmer. The three nodded, and there, in the quiet, resting their aching limbs, they felt sleepiness overtaking and overthinking about him. "I know what to do," said the farmer. "We'll take a nap, and we shall dream. Whichever one of us dreams the most wonderful dream will eat the whole chicken." "Perfect," said the other two. "A splendid idea." They already were half asleep, and each man loved to dream. They leaned back against their goods and closed their eyes. Soon the top of the mountain was perfectly silent. The only sound was the rustling leaves moved by a brisk winter wind, and the breathing of men. Now the rug man began to smile for a while, for he was dreaming of life on the moon, and the lamp man smiled and grinned too, as he lapsed into a dream of heaven. They dreamed happily for a while, but presently the loud grunting and snoring sounds woke all three. They sat up straight. The lamp man was the first to speak. "I'm sure I've won," he said. "I dreamed that I was on the moon, warmed by the brightest, whitest light. And I looked down upon the earth and knew that I was at peace forever, perfectly happy." "Oh no," said the rug man. "The moon sounds good, but I'm afraid my dream was better still. I dreamed I was in heaven surrounded by angels and fairies, the only sound of their exquisite voices, the only smells those of fragrant flowers, the only feeling of joy everywhere." The two men turned to look at the farmer, whose smile was even brighter and wider than their own. "What was your dream?" they asked, longing to know what could be better than a life in heaven or a life on the moon. "Well, I am amazed hearing your tales," said the farmer. "You see, I couldn't fall asleep, and so I opened my eyes and watched you. And when I saw that one of you was on the moon and the other in heaven, and with the sprain in your brain, I realized how lovely those worlds were. I knew you would never wish to return to this earth. That's why I ate the whole chicken. I trained my brain, so that I have no sprain in brain to have irrelevant dreams." The rug man and the lamp man looked into the sack, and sure enough it was empty. With their stomachs growling and grunting, they then understood. With sprain in brain they can damage and destroy things in their own world. If you like the story, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you for listening.